All right, so now we're going to be showing you how to create infrastructure with Terraform in AWS. Now, this video is part of a series where we've been teaching about creating and destroying infrastructure, modifying infrastructure, installing Terraform. We have all of that stuff. So if you haven't watched that already, go check it out. Yeah, definitely take a look at the playlist that this video is a part of. But up until this point, we've been using Docker for our examples, and we wanted to show you how to also use AWS. And in future examples, we may use Docker, may use AWS. And we're going to probably show you how to use other providers as well. We're going to try to cover Azure and some other things too in the future. But in any case, so far we've been using Docker. In this video, we're going to be showing you AWS. We've already covered creating infrastructure and what all the commands do and all the details for that in our previous videos. Go back and check them out if you haven't seen them yet. But in this video, we're just going to be quickly trying to get a configuration in place to show you how to show you basically how to do AWS specific stuff. So we've covered all the Terraform specific details, and in this video it's just going to be AWS specific stuff, things that are specific and unique to AWS, and basically to give you an example to go with for if you wanted to set something up with AWS. And if you want to be able to copy and paste the config we have or any of our commands, just check the link in the description. It's all there. Also, yeah, remember, check out the playlist, and also hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell icon, because you're not going to want to miss out on that stuff too. So anyways, getting started here, let's first, I'm going to create a whole new directory. Test 1 was a Docker configuration, so dir test 2. Oops, all right, test 2 already exists. Test 3. That is me being creative with my naming. Yeah, creative directory names there. So anyways, I'm going to create my main.tf file here. Now, the other thing I should mention, that's me trying to paste things in the wrong way. So the other thing I should mention is that you will need the AWS CLI to be installed. So you need the CLI installed, and you need to have credentials set up for the CLI. That's part of setting up the CLI. You need the credentials in place. So if you don't know how to do that, we actually did do a video on that as well. So check the links in the description, and I probably won't have, I may or may not include that video in this playlist because it's not specifically Terraform related, but it's very helpful for working with Terraform. I may include it in this playlist, but in any case, definitely check the link in the description because we do have a video on how to set up the AWS CLI, and that's a prerequisite for this video. So you're going to need that CLI set up. So I already have it set up in this terminal. I've created credentials, and I can run CLI commands here. Terraform will be using that, so Terraform should have permission to interact with AWS. So we're going to create a server in AWS today using Terraform, but just keep in mind I already did those steps, and I have a separate video showing you how to do that. So in any case, create our main.tf file, and we are going to paste our example in here, but we're going to modify it just slightly. And we're going to talk about what this does real quick. So we have our Terraform block here, required providers. Notice the difference. Instead of saying Docker, it says AWS. Still specifies a source, and it still specifies a version. And we are sort of partway pinning it to this version. In any case, required version of Terraform has to be at least this. So required provider, the AWS provider has to be this version, vaguely this version, and the required version of Terraform has to be at least 1.2.0 or equal to it. So greater than or equal to it. So at least that. And we actually have variables defined in our AWS provider block. So it was a little bit empty when we did Docker. The only instance where we actually would have added something for Docker is if you were running it on Windows. In this case, we actually have one variable defined in our block here. And as it turns out, this is the variable that I'm going to change because I just want to stick with this region by default. So I'm going to use US East. That way it's going to be easy for me to find this infrastructure and destroy it later on. Actually, I'm probably going to, we'll see. But in any case, let's see. We're defining a resource. The type of resource is AWS instance, and the name of it is app server. You could call it anything you want. We're going to specify an AMI. The AMI is the Amazon machine image. So this is the ID for an AMI. And this should be a valid AMI. So basically you have existing AMIs that Amazon has, and you can also, if you've configured a given virtual machine in Amazon a certain way, you also have the ability to, you can take an image of an existing instance in AWS, and you can create an AMI, which is Amazon machine image. You create an image of that instance, and you can create your own custom AMIs that you can build things from. So you can have everything already all set up on a system, set up the way you like it, create an image, and then you can just build things using that AMI. Now this AMI is not one that I built. It's not one of my custom AMIs. It's just an AMI that's available on AWS. And the other thing we're setting up is the instance type. So this is the type of server, T2 Micro. This is one of the smallest servers out there. It's going to have very small amount of RAM, very few number of CPU cores, a really small instance you can create. It's really cheap, great for doing an example like this. You can create instances that will go from anywhere from maybe $3 to $5 a month up to like $3,000 to $5,000 a month, right? You can be spending thousands on this, so do be careful with what you create. It can get expensive, and if you're using Terraform and spinning up huge amounts of infrastructure, like you can spin things up at scale with Terraform, it can get expensive. So be careful, pay attention to what you're doing with Amazon, and just be careful. Any case, so we got the region, the AMI, and the instance type. Three main things that are really worth noting in here. So these two things here and this here. Interesting AWS specific pieces of information. So anyways, let's go ahead and right quit. We're going to save that. And let's see here. Anything else? Not a whole lot else I wanted to cover. So we're going to do Terraform init. And at this stage, it's going to pull down all the provider information. So basically the plugin that lets you work with AWS, it's pulling down everything for that and getting our configuration set up and ready to go. There we go. It has been initialized. So now we're going to run a Terraform plan. This is going to show us what the plan is, what it's planning to actually do. So it's telling us it's going to add 1, change 0, and 0 to change, 0 to destroy. So these are all the things it's going to do. It says no known after apply, because a lot of these details it won't know until it actually creates it. One thing it does know, for example, is the AMI, because we specified that. So anyways, this is what's going to happen. This is what it's going to do. It's going to create this. So we then run Terraform apply, and it's going to do the same thing. It is going to give us a preview of what it's going to do, basically the same output. We just confirm that's what we want, and we say yes. And AMI ID not found. So that was not a valid AMI ID. So I'm going to cut away for a quick second and grab a valid AMI ID and paste it in here. So I'm going to actually share this part of what I'm doing. So I'm going to move this over here, and you'll notice we have an AMI catalog here, right? So I went to the EC2 dashboard, and I'm scrolling down here. So we have instances here, AMIs. These would be AMIs you define. This is AMI catalog. So we're going to look for some predefined AMIs that Amazon makes available for us. So let's just grab Ubuntu 22.04 just to grab it All right, so AMI ID, 64-bit. All right. Let's copy this. And let's put it in here. Let's save that. I'm going to rerun Terraform plan real quick and rerun Terraform apply and say yes. So it's taking a little bit, but it looks like it's working. And there we go. Looks like it created our instance. So apply completed, resources added 1, resources changed 0, destroyed 0. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and 1 second here. So I'm going to actually, I'd like to show you this. So this created the resource. I'm going to actually kind of, like I know we want to manage this all through Terraform, but I'm just going to show you over here in the console here. So go to instances. Yeah, and it shows you example server, instance ID, it's up and running. T2 micro, that's the instance type. It is now initializing. I'm not going to log into this server. That's kind of out of the scope of this video. But yeah, running in the US East 1C availability zone. But the name is example app server instance. So there we go. We've created an instance in EC2, AWS EC2. That's what it looks like in the console there. It's initializing. So what I would like to do is I'd actually like to look at this from the I'd like to look at this from the console through the AWS CLI. One quick second here. I'm going to copy this command. All right, so I'm actually just going to type this out. EC2. So describe instances. And there we go. So this is going to give us a description of our instance. So you can see like the image ID. This is the AMI ID that we found. We looked up and we put it in there. Instance ID, instance type, launch time. You can see this is, I believe, in UTC, but it's about 2 a.m. in the morning here in New York because I'm kind of staying up late doing this. In any case, what else? Yeah, IP address, basically all the info that you could possibly want to know about this. All in JSON format, so this is nice and easily parsable. But any case, AWS EC2 describe instances. So that's using the AWS CLI. We can verify, that our instance that we created with Terraform is there, and we verified it's there inside the console. Let's see. I would like to show you one more thing real quick. So let's see here. All right, so we're going to say Terraform show. This is going to show you our infrastructure. So coming from a Terraform command, this shows you, this is the Terraform definition of our infrastructure. Shows you like the devices attached to it, like the disk, the volumes, stuff like that. Now you can actually configure all of this stuff in your Terraform configs, but this shows you all the info about the about the device that we create, about the server that we created. Let's do a Terraform state list, and it should list out our app server that we created, AWS instance app server. So that is the server that we created. Now, if you go over here, so we have our running instance over here, right? And let's see if it has come up yet. So it is in a running state now, but it's still initializing. Refresh this. Okay, it is running state and not initializing anymore. Now 2 out of 2 checks have passed. So this server is up and running. We're not going to log into it. That's way out of scope for this video. But I would like to destroy this infrastructure that I've created. So I'm going to say Terraform destroy. And as we covered this in a previous video, destroy is basically the opposite of apply. So you see these red minuses, it's going to destroy all this infrastructure here. Totally fine with that. I don't have anything important in this AWS account, so YES to confirm. And it says destroying. So it's taking a little bit. Taking a little longer than I thought it would. So while it's doing that, I'd like to actually take a look and check our web console. Just in parallel, so it says terminated. Looks like as I just moved that over, it finished right here. So it says, yeah, it took about 40 seconds. So destruction complete after 40 seconds, destroy complete, resources 1 destroyed. So like, let's confirm it here real quick. So state list, nothing in the state. You can run the AWS CLI, describe instances. It still describes the instance, but notice it says the state is terminated. So the AWS CLI shows a terminated state. It still shows it as existing, but it's terminated, right? Whereas the Terraform state list shows it's just not there, right? And if you were to say show, nothing there. State is empty, no resources represented. Go over here to the web console. Let's refresh this. And you see it's still here, but it's terminated. So instance is terminated, so I'm not going to have to pay for that, which is great. It's cheap, but I still have no use for this particular server. So it's gone now. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and clean up. I'm going to basically every time after I've been using my personal AWS account, I create a new user, and I basically create brand new credentials and use those for the CLI, and then I go ahead and just delete that user and the credentials, which is why I have no problem showing the credentials. I'm not showing them in this video, but my AWS video, I did show them. So yeah, also go back and check that out. Now that's everything I wanted to show you in this video today. Definitely go back and check our playlist for Terraform, and also check the links in the description. Have the Terraform videos there, but I will also have links to the AWS video, my Docker video, and a bunch of other useful videos. So you'll want to check those out. And that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it was useful. But that is it for today. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on that next video.